Hello there everybody, a very good afternoon to you all and welcome back to another Taurex Daily live trading session this afternoon on Tuesday the 7th of January. The new year is upon us and the markets are back in action. If you missed yesterday's stream, we went over some of the best commodities trades that I was looking at for this year. Really liking the look of that gold trade that I've posted in the Discord channel. And today we're going to be taking a look. This is our final 2025 stream, shall we say. And I don't really have too much of a structure for the streams. You know, it's also up to you guys if you have any questions or any markets that you want me to cover or any questions about trading at all. Then this is always, although I have a topic of the stream, it's also a live Q&A as well, pretty much. So if you do have any questions, then feel free to drop them in the chat room. See a few people who have dropped in on the chat. Dibble, hello to you over on our Discord channel. It's very good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hello to you, Bobby, on the YouTube channel. And Bill Kirkton, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for joining. I know you potentially maybe had some issues joining the Discord channel. If I send you the link now... Never. Generate new link. This link should work for you. You may require, if you don't have Discord, to open up a free account. But I'd recommend that you do that, Curtin, because you can come and join us in the Discord channel and chat to me every day. We've pretty much we've not even launched the Discord channel yet, like on social media and stuff. It's just been me building it in the background. So you'll be one of the first people in there, which is fine. But we will be building that this year, of course. I'll be trying to, extend the community as far as we can, pretty much. Okay. Fantastic. Right. Let's just quickly have a look then. Normal order has been resumed or restored in the markets at the moment. And it's currently Tuesday the 7th of January. And you can see I'm on my my Taurex Plus and the economic calendar on there, which is fantastic. Having a look at some of the high impact news events that we've got for today. We've had some European inflation data, which on the whole came in a bit stronger than what was previously last time out. We also had consumer price index, which again is inflation data out of Switzerland, which was previously in 0.7, forecasted for 0.6, and actual was 0.6 as well. Yes, Bill, on the Discord, you will need to click on the verification. It's just so we don't get spam with bots. If you click on the green tick on the verification on the, I think it's on the welcome channel, is it? Yeah, if you click on that green tick and solve the puzzle, it should verify you, and then it'll put you, and then you'll be able to see all the other channels. Okay. And then obviously for the sort of the main event, shall we say, of today, we've got the ISM Services PMI data, which should be interesting to see where that comes in. So we're going to find out more about the services sector, and we should find out about the manufacturing data as well. I probably imagine if I go to the filter here and filter to medium impact as well, I imagine that I'm going to see JOLTS job openings as well, and also the managers index. No, that's not there. Maybe not then. Okay, but we have got JOLTS job openings as well, so we're going to find out some information around the US labour market. Of course, it is NFP week this week, and I will be covering that stream live on Friday when the event comes out, our first one of the year. So should be fireworks. I'm looking forward to it. Right, so if you haven't already, on the general chat of our Discord channel, a few days ago when I first started these 2025 streams, I put in, and I do this every year to be honest, I put in the some of the outlooks for some of the big names like JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Schroders, Goldman Sachs, and HSBC as well, HSBC private banking as well. So I think what we can do today is find some nuggets of gold in here to see if we can find any indication, not necessarily on the crypto market, but on the US market. So I think what would be a good one? Let's have a look at Goldman Sachs. I'm just loading it up, and let me just click through just for a second just to see. Yeah, here we go. I thought this was a good one. When you read some of these 2025 outlooks, it does give you a good indication of what some of the, obviously the institutional, the big banks are thinking of, and that not necessarily means they're right, but it's sometimes a good basis to use for our analysis this year. I don't disagree with this, actually. So this is Goldman Sachs. They've said the US economy remains resilient heading into 2025. Inflation is almost back to the Federal Reserve's 2% target, and tight labour market conditions have eased. We lean towards a soft landing as our base case scenario against a backdrop of late cycle opportunities and lingering tail risks. The Fed made its first cut of 50 basis points in September. This was followed by 25 in November, resulting in the Federal Reserve's fund rate falling to 4.5 to 4.75%. What's interesting as well is they've said we expect additional cuts throughout 2025, provided inflation continues to cool, potentially resulting in an easing cycle that could conclude by the end of the year. So this is just one, and I recommend that you read all through as many of them as you want to. But when you read that paragraph there, there's the concluding thoughts that I get from that are, as long as inflation remains, suppressed, should we say, and the data doesn't fall off a cliff, i.e. the data remains how it has been. If everything continues how it has been, and that doesn't always happen in markets, then we've got a good potential basis for a bull year in stocks. Now, this second paragraph, a second Trump presidency, because obviously the other theme of 2025 will be the Trump presidency and the policies that he brings in. The Trump presidency involves upside inflation risk due to the prospect of tariffs, raising the prospect of a Fed pause and slower pace of rate cuts. However, we believe a resumption of rate hikes is unlikely as long as inflation expectations remain anchored, i.e. suppressed. While post-election policy will be in focus, we expect the labour market and the health of the consumer to be critical factors for the economy, Fed policy and market direction. Yeah, we know that. That's nothing new. Like central banks, we remain data dependent. Again, very, very important. A lot of people come on and say, this is going to happen. I know this is going to happen in 2025. We have to remain data dependent. We have to analyse the data that comes out. For example, NFP on Friday will be our first look at that employment data. Will we see employment, still remaining robust? The employment data remaining robust? Will it sell off, or will it fall off significantly? And then we start to hear words like this: a hard landing, a recession. But as it stands right this second, a hard landing or recession is not Goldman Sachs base case, but the risk of such a scenario would rise in the event of severe disruptions to global trade. And we also anticipate greater focus on wider US owners, so I'm not worried about that. So you can get some good nuggets of gold, and generally speaking, that view that we've got there from Goldman Sachs is something that I agree with as well. So when you look at the major US stock indices, when you think about how they closed the year, you can see that the S&P 500, although we didn't get a Santa Claus rally, it was a fantastic year last year. And right now, the threat of this move lower is pretty much all down to higher inflation and or lower or weaker data. That's the same with any year. There's nothing different there. That's just what would be the recipe for a fall in this S&P 500 in the stock market. However, my base case, my prediction is for a continuation higher, and for in the next couple of weeks or so, as long as the NFP isn't really, really weak, then I expect the S&P 500 to make a move up towards 6,500, and it's just about trying to get in at the right time, of course. Now, if we look at the performance of the S&P 500 last year, where are we? Opened up here. Opened up at 4,760, and we closed at 5,980. So about 23% gain on the year, which is pretty good, right? I mean, if you'd have bought the S&P 500 at the start of 2024, you'd have been looking good. You pretty much would have never been in drawdown if you managed to hold the whole way. So there is opportunities in the stock market. However, you can see that there has been years like 2022 when we had higher inflation that we saw. That was the year of inflation, the year of hikes, remember? There is a threat that if that is the case, i.e. higher inflation and or weaker data, we could see a year that brings the S&P 500 back down towards the 5,200 level. But overall, my base case remains that we get a year which inflation remains relatively suppressed. The economic data remains fairly robust and fairly strong. And therefore, we could see maybe let's call it a 15 or 16% rise in the S&P 500. And let's set a target, our bull target of 7,000 in this index. Okay? Now, this doesn't necessarily give you a trade idea as such, but what it does is it means that when you do get into potentially any dips that occur throughout the year, because as you can see, throughout the year, you can't say that we don't get periods of dips. And I'm going to be really focused this year on trying to pick up as many of these dips as I can. Now, I'd love it if you see this bullish order block we've got down here. I would love it if we can get a move on the S&P 500 down towards that bearish order block, a bullish order block, and then that move higher. That would be my sort of initial first trade of 2025. So we'll see how that one goes. If I go on to the, you can hear me, can't you? Yeah. If I go on to the NASDAQ, similar sort of thing, really. You can see that, since that dip there, generally speaking, this has been a market which has found support at these trend lines, a little bit of a close below there, and you can see that we've now closed back above. So I actually think that even right now, the threat here early on for the NASDAQ, of course, we need to wait for the data to come out as it comes out, but we've just started the year. But unless the data is weaker or inflation ticks higher, I believe that we can maybe, on a lower time frame, try and target at least this high at 22,100 for the next few months. Now, when it comes to crypto, is anyone in the anyone who's watching the stream? Let me know in the chat room. Are you invested in any crypto at all this year? Do you think this could be a good year for crypto? And what cryptos have you got invested? Now, generally speaking, there is a correlation in the crypto space between risk assets like the NASDAQ and Bitcoin and the other major cryptos. So, using the same base analysis that we used for the stock market, I think there's even greater potential in 2025 for the crypto space because you've got the additional added Trump effect. Okay, Bobby, fair enough. So when it comes to Bitcoin for this year, Bitcoin for 2025 remains a really interesting one because the technical picture is 100% bullish. You can see that by a series of higher highs and higher lows. Little bit of a dip there, but you can already see the start of the year positively, and that's the anticipation around the pro crypto Trump policies. So I think that this year we could see Bitcoin reach 150,000. Call me crazy, but we did see a move from October. We were down at 60,000 and we saw a move up to 100,000 in the space of 6 months. So this market can move quick. I think that if we get the continuation of the soft landing narrative with the Trump anticipation, we could see crypto and Bitcoin up to 150k this year. I know it's a bit of a big prediction, but I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there and see if we can make a move up to there. So when it comes to finding trades for this year, always have that yearly target that you have in mind. If you're going to be bullish on a market and your analysis doesn't change, like unless I see weaker economic data or I see higher inflation, my base case analysis of a soft landing won't change, and therefore I will always be looking to, if I do manage to get into a trade, for example, in Bitcoin this year, wherever that trade may be, and I haven't really found, the markets are sort of just taking shape, and I haven't really found anything that clear cut just yet. So when I do, I'll make sure obviously that I let you know. But if we do manage to get that move higher, that trade in from a lower time frame, whatever strategy pops up and gives me a trade idea, I'm always going to have that 150k in my mind, because I'd like to this year try and hold, even if it's just a tiny proportion left of the trade, even if it's just like 0.1% left open, and just hold it till my sort of yearly targets sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to try and do. And I think that we could be seeing a very positive year in Bitcoin, and also in XRP as well. So that's the other one that if I was gonna look to sort of not trade a currency, not trade a crypto as such, but maybe hold a crypto. There's a lot of positive news in the space in general, and more importantly, there's a lot of positive sentiment around regulation. And obviously, as we know, the Ripple versus SEC case has been the talking point of this crypto, obviously, and that seems to be going in the favor of XRP. Add into the fact that we've got Trump coming in potentially with more pro crypto policies, or more crypto friendly policies. I think this opens up potentially a good opportunity for XRP. Now, of course, you can see that you have to be very careful with crypto. And when people always say, can you predict what's going to happen with cryptocurrency? I was watching a program the other day, and one of the best ways to describe how you can predict what crypto to look for is if you close your eyes and you've got a dart and you throw it at the board. When you open your eyes, whatever one it lands on, go for that one. Because it's such an unpredictable market. It's very volatile. The actual currencies, they're not even currencies. The actual coins themselves don't necessarily hold any meaning or value in the economy just yet, particularly these lower value altcoins, should we say. Therefore, you have to be careful that the last 2 times we've had a significant spike in crypto, in the space in general, particularly in XRP, you can see that it was met with really aggressive take profit or profit taking, and also selling as well. So be very, very careful thinking that we're just going to be on a one-way ticket up to the moon, because that's what someone on Twitter said. Because it often doesn't work like that. So I'd rather look for a more strategic pullback. I don't know, maybe something. We have already reacted from that 38.2. But as I say, this looks to me like a coin that I'd rather sort of buy and hold rather than trade it as such. And that's really been my attitude around cryptocurrencies in general. Okay, good stuff. Right. Is there any questions? Anything that anyone wants me to run through, or any questions on any of the things that I've spoken about today, something that maybe wasn't quite clear? And whilst those questions come through, I'll just give you my sort of overriding thoughts when it comes to, we'll call them risk assets, like your stock market and your cryptocurrencies. And that's that for me, the base case is bullish. And the reason for that is, or the way that this would be portrayed is if inflation, but base case bullish if inflation remains suppressed and economic data remains robust. Bear case if, bearish if, and this is not my base case, we see a deterioration in economic data, i.e. recession, or, which is what the threat is at the moment, a rise in inflation and talks of hikes. That remains my sort of bull case and bear case for this year. Of course, any of the potential trade ideas that do come our way this year, I'll be using this initial analysis, and people can rewatch this obviously on the YouTube channel whenever they like, and I will keep that thought in mind as I look to trade up to my sort of yearly. It's very difficult. There's no real reason why I've said 150k Bitcoin or 7,000 S&P 500. It's an estimated guess. It always is. Even some of the big banks, they come up with some predictions which are nowhere near. You have to be data dependent, and you have to be someone who can adapt to a changing environment in the economy. And that's why I'm here to do these live streams every day, just in case the narrative changes a bit from where we are now. Just because we've got that narrative now doesn't mean that in 3 months' time we have that narrative. That narrative might change on Friday. If NFP came in at 10k again, and then everyone starts talking about recession, or NFP comes in super, super hot and everyone starts talking about inflation, the narrative can change very quickly, and as traders we must be able to adapt to that. Okay, thank you very much to those who tuned in today. Have a good trading day. And if you do have anyone who wants to get involved in trading, feel free to share the Discord channel link with those people. It's completely free. And we're going to be starting to build up the community of our traders. And now I've actually built the channel. So I look forward to doing that. Okay, take care, everybody. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much.